Hello crafters, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. One of the first things I select when creating a card is the color scheme or color combination. Typically, I reach for the easiest color option in color combo, which is pink, yellow, and green, or yellow, green, and teal, or a rainbow of colors. If you look at cards online, you'll most likely see these colors dominate everywhere, at least in my cards. But there are so many other wonderful color combinations out there. I challenged myself to try some new color combinations, and I invite you to join me. Pull out your favorite cutting dies and colored cardstock, and let's get crafty. There are many different ways to properly combine colors according to color theory. Today, I'm looking at the analogous color schemes. If you have a color wheel in your stash, grab it. It will be very useful for today's exercise. If you don't have a color wheel, you can look one up online and use that. But I would suggest you purchase a color wheel for your craft room. It is an inexpensive but very useful tool, and you can use it to plan home decor and even your outfits too. So what are analogous colors? Simply put, analogous colors are three or more colors that sit together on the color wheel. For example, blue-green, blue, and blue-violet are analogous colors. Violet, red-violet, and red are analogous colors. And so on. Red-orange, orange, and yellow-orange are analogous. You can start with any color on the color wheel, and the two colors next to it together with that color will create an analogous color combination. It is very simple and very practical. You can also go more general, for example, green, blue, and violet, or orange, red, and violet. Now, the proportion of these colors, the amount of each color on your project, is important to maintain balance and harmony. You may want to use the 60, 30, and 10% rule to keep a good proportion between colors. For example, 60% of the main color, 30% of additional color, and 10% of the accent color. Let's look at this card. Here, I generalize the colors. I have green, blue-green, and violet. The background is a blue-green color. It is the main color, and it makes up for about 60%. Next, I have violet, and that takes up about 30%. And the last color is green, and that takes up about 10%, maybe a little more. I also have a neutral here, white, used for sunflowers and for the floss to stitch the letters, and just a touch of yellow for the flower centers and gold for foiling. This is an unusual color combination, but it works well. Here's another example with different colors. I have blue for the background, violet for the flowers, and some blue-green for some smaller flowers. I also have some green here as a complementary color. And again, there's white as a neutral and a touch of yellow. Now, I also have variations among colors themselves. There isn't just one blue. There is a darker blue used for the background and a lighter blue used for the letter itself. There are 3 shades of violet for the flowers and even 2 shades of green. Here's another example with an analogous color scheme. A violet background with red and orange accents. Again, I have touches of green and a neutral white color. Everything looks harmonious and cohesive together. And notice how there are 2 shades of violet and 2 shades of red and even 2 shades of orange with 1 or 2 shades of pink. Here is one more example with a red background, pink and orange flowers, and again, green accents. All colors are represented using at least 2 shades. Green seems to go well with just about anything, so I have it on all of my cards. And again, I have a touch of neutral white for the flowers and the floss that is used to stitch the letter. You can apply the analogous color scheme differently too. You can combine it with neutral colors to have a softer result. For example, you can use a white background or any other neutral background and simply go with the analogous colors for the card accents or for the card focal point. The cards I shared were all created using the Stitched Alphabet collection from Spellbinders. It is a fabulous release with an entire lowercase alphabet designed for stitching. I have almost all of the letters here on my desk. I'm just missing a few. The size of the letters is perfect for A2 cards. The letters, of course, can be used for larger projects like scrapbook pages, mini albums, and the letters also make for great home decor pieces. Now, these letters coordinate with the May 2022 large die of the month from Spellbinders. The size of the letters is the same. Here I have the card I made using the large die, and you can see that the W is the same as the letters YOU. There are also supportive glimmer plates and stamps that go really well with these alphabet dies. I don't have the stamp set here as I prefer to glimmer everything these days, but there is a stamp set if you don't have a glimmer machine. Now there are two foiling sets, and actually the stamp set combines the sentiments or the messages in the two foiling sets. The two foiling sets, one reads "Be bold" and a note from me to you, and the other one has a set of adjectives for every letter and a plate that foils "you are." So you can foil "you are wonderful," "you are remarkable," for example. Now each letter is a two-part die. There is a stitched letter and a shadow die. I like to cut the stitched letter from thick cardstock, and I cut it twice. And I back up the stitched letter with another layer to make it sturdier. Now, some of the letters are very detailed, and when I stitch, I find that floss can tangle a little bit and mangle the letters. So adding an extra layer of cardstock makes the letters sturdier, and they just look better in the end. For these cards, I find I like to cut the letters from colored cardstock and stitch them with white floss, but you can do the opposite. Stitching is very easy, and I find it a relaxing process. The letters are small, and one letter doesn't take a lot of time to stitch. In fact, die cutting all of the flowers to embellish the letters takes much longer than that. Next, I pick out the glimmer plates that I need for my card, and I plan the placement of the plates on my background. I foil "you are" in the top center, and then the corresponding adjective in the bottom center. Here, I'm foiling "wonderful." I use my hinge method, and I tape the plates in place so that nothing moves. I then cut my foil to size. This is matte gold foil, and I just need a teeny tiny piece for the sentiments, and I add another piece of tape to hold the foil in place. By the way, I'm using a new thin version of the Best Ever Craft tape. Spellbinders is releasing 2 additional sizes of this tape. This narrow size, and there's also a much wider size when you need to create a hinge for a very large glimmer plate. I then use my glimmer hot foil system, and I foil the sentiment, and it looks fabulous. I have space in the center between my sentiments to add my stitched letter and any embellishments that I want. While I was foiling, I also finished my stitching. I added small pieces of foam adhesive behind my stitched letter to foam mount the letter onto my shadow. I'm using a white shadow for this card as my background is white, but on the other cards, I match the color of the shadow to the background. Next, I die cut and assembled several flowers using the Be Bold Blooms die set from Spellbinders. It is a beautiful set filled with stunning blooms. I think it's going to be my favorite this year, along with the mini blooms and sprigs that I've been using all year long that was released last year from Spellbinders. Now, I used the common yellow, pink, and green color combo for this card, but the other card examples all use analogous color schemes. I foam mounted the flowers and leaves adorning the letter, and some of the flowers even hide part of the letter and overlap it. I also embellished each card with several gems. I added tiny gems into the center of each stitched element. It does look like a flower, so adding a gem in the center is just the perfect finishing touch. And I also scattered some gems around the focal point. I hope you feel inspired to create. If you make a card inspired by this video, please share it online and tag me. I always enjoy seeing what you make. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.